So next up, let's go to WordPress settings. Now this can seem a little bit confusing when you first start. There's lots of different things you can do on here, so let's just run through generally what you're going to need to do. So first of all, of course, your site title. What is your site title? Usually something to do with your domain, so I'm going to leave mine as WordPress help and support. Next up's the tagline. This is something that will describe it in a few words, and this will usually appear underneath your site title. So I'm just going to name mine help and support for WordPress. Underneath, and we did go through this towards the start of the video and the startup, but if you haven't done this already and yours still says HTTP, hasn't got the www, just make sure that you add that in. So make sure that you add in your S there, so HTTPS, and then you're going to add in the www before your domain name. Do that in the WordPress and of course the site title also. Make sure that your administration address is okay. This is the email that you registered it with. Underneath you can choose whether anybody wants to register. Here with anybody can register. Usually you'll do this if you're going to have memberships, forums or anything like that. If you haven't got this checked, then it might prevent them from being able to make an account with you. However, if this is just a simple blog or a simple website, you don't have to have other people apart from you or editors log in. You don't need to have anyone can register tick. And just make sure that underneath you have selected the role they will get if they do sign up, and I would suggest leaving this as subscriber. Under that, of course, you can choose your site language, you can choose the time zone that you want it to run at, and the way that the date and the time format is showing, and of course the week starts on. I'm just going to keep this as Monday. You can change this depending on how it suits you. Once you've done the general bit of your settings, and of course to get here, come on the left, go on to settings, and I'm on general, the top one at the moment, just go ahead and save changes. Now if you have saved anything, or if you changed anything, as in the HTTP to HTTPS, and you've added the www, once you hit save, you will most likely have to sign in one more time, again using the same information. Next up, we're going to go to writing. We won't delve too much into this. This is if you want to create a post by email, so if you want to be able to email your post through. And it's going to give you all your information here. You can set your password, your login name, the default mail categories as well. You can choose what post category is going to be put in if you do email it through, so you need to set this up previously to emailing. Next up, we're going to go to reading, and we have of course gone over this already, and this is going to be how you can set up your homepage and your blog page. If you want all your blogs just to show up on your homepage, you're going to choose your latest posts on there. That's going to be the choice that you put. If you want a static page, so you want a home page and then you want another page for where your blogs go onto, you're going to choose a static page, and then you're going to choose the pages like we did previously. So I'm going to choose my home page as my home, or whatever you want as your home page, and then you choose a page after you create it to put as your blog page, so all of your articles and posts will get put onto that particular page. Next up, you can choose how many blog posts it shows at one time, which we've got at 10. You can also choose the syndication feed to show the most recent up to 10 items. Do you want to show the full text, or do you want to show an excerpt of your post? And of course, search engine visibility, I wouldn't tick this because this will discourage a search engine from indexing. Indexing is when they basically put your website and they categorize it ready for anybody that asks a question in that category to answer it potentially with your website. So I would discourage you from pressing that button unless you've got some sort of site that you don't want to be indexed by search engines. Once you're done, again, simply hit save changes. And let's make our way down to discussion. This is primarily going to be for comments, for people sending comments, posting comments. What can they do? What can you allow them to do? As you can see here, we got attempt to notify any blogs linked from the post, allow link notifications, allow people to submit comments on new posts, and of course, just do this accordingly to how it's going to suit your own website. It's going to start as a default, and the default settings are pretty general. Basically, anybody can post a comment, however, the comment is going to be held for moderation. I would suggest this because what you do get once you do start a site is you get lots of bots trying to comment, leaving their dodgy links on there. So really I would wait. I'd leave comment as held for moderation just to make sure that you can approve it. And you can also check the box here, which is comment must be manually approved. I would suggest this. And another thing as well to go with this is comment author must have a previously approved comment. This particular selection here is important if you don't want to have to keep approving certain people's ones. It means if they do have approved content already, it probably will get approved again, and you don't have to pre-approve it. Comment moderation. Hold a comment in the queue if it contains 2 or more links. Comment characteristic with using hyperlinks, what people do is they'll link certain words to dodgy websites, and it might seem like a perfectly normal word that you can click on or associated with a site or something legit, but it isn't legit. It's going to go to a phishing website. So I wouldn't suggest leaving this any more than 2. You could even put it as 1 link if you don't really want any links, or hold it for moderation straight away. So once you've done that, let's come down a little bit more, and then you can choose the avatars. So when people do create their person or their profile on your website, what's it going to look like? You can change the maximum ratings. I'm just going to keep this G for suitable for all audiences, and here you can choose what they'll start with. For instance, if we want our gravatar, so anybody that makes an account that doesn't choose their own picture, we can change this to Wavatar, I think that's what it's called. And anyway, we can come down to change settings. So now anytime anybody makes a profile, it will start as this. Once they change it, it'll then change to their profile picture. Next up in settings, we have media. Now this is going to be how or what it will set up the default sizes as for your thumbnail, your medium, your large size as well. I'd recommend not actually changing this too much, because WordPress, or generally on the internet, they try and read pages and they prefer to read, or Google prefers to read, ones that are set to a default size. The same goes with your font as well. Using the WordPress default font is read much easier with search engines, and using pictures that are set to a default size, which is this particular size here. So when you upload one, if you want it to be medium size, it will default go to 300, and the same with the rest of the sizes. But of course you can change that if you do want to. Once you have done that, go to save changes. Permalinks, this is an important bit as well, because this is how your posts and stuff will display. What will come after the post? Do you want it to be plain? Do you want it to show the time of the day? For instance, if you post something on a certain time of day, would you like it to be / the time of the day? Preferably, or as default, having it as post name works really well, because it will be wpsupportuk.com / whatever the post name is. So then if I've got best WordPress hosting, it would be / best WordPress hosting. That would look a lot better when people are trying to search you up also. And of course you can do a custom structure. So if you rather have, you can have post name, you can put the minute that it was put on, the post ID, the category as well, so it shows all of that information. And if you want to do that, simply click on the other one, it will then add it on. If you want to take it off, go over the highlighted bit and then just take it off again. However, I'm going to keep mine on post name only. The bottom part is also optional, and if you do leave this as blank, the defaults will be used, unless you do want to change the category base or the tag base. Next up to privacy. This will basically generate you a nice privacy policy page, which is very general. You can then go ahead and you can make changes. To create it, you can go to create there, it will create your default page. If you already have it, it'll come up here, or you can select another page. So let's say for instance you've created your own privacy policy page, select it from this section, hit save once you have selected it in this bar, and then that's the page it will use and send people to if they want to find out more about the privacy policy of your website. That page can then be found in pages if you do generate it from this page, and it will just be called privacy policy. It'll be saved as a draft, so just go ahead and publish it, and then you can add it to your menu. Draft plus backup is a plugin that will be automatically installed into your WordPress most of the time, depending on who your host is, and this is very handy. You should always be making backups of your site just in case something goes wrong. Potentially a plugin could update that corrupts your site. That doesn't normally happen, but just in case it does, let's say somebody gets into your site and ruins it for some reason. If you do manage to get somebody to hack into your site, if you haven't added any security stuff, you want to have a clean backup of your whole site that you can simply just click reload again, and then it will bring it all up again. So either now, as you're watching this, if you've got it and you've done anything on your site, just hit backup now. Make sure that you create yourself a backup. Once your backup's done, you're going to get all the folders along the bottom line here, and then just download them to your PC. Stuff like databases, plugins, and other information. Just download that all, keep that in the safe folder on your PC. It will also keep a copy on here just in case you want to automatically restore it, but I also suggest just keeping a copy on your PC just in case anything does happen maliciously to your website. You've got another safe copy that you can simply upload. Last but not least, HT Access Editor. Now, I wouldn't recommend using this unless you have some coding knowledge or you know exactly what you're doing. This is going to change the direct code for the website here, or for your WordPress. You even get a warning here. You have to click I understand, enable editor, and then you can go ahead and edit code. Wouldn't suggest doing this if you're brand new. If you are going to do it, make sure you do a lot of research, make sure that you know exactly what code you're putting in, exactly where as well, and of course do take a backup first. If you've made a backup, it doesn't really matter how much you ruin it because you can always bring it back. Important notes to note about the settings as well. As you add other plugins, some of the settings sections will come down here, so if you have any more options here, it's because you've downloaded a plugin, and it's also giving you the settings options within your settings on WordPress, but these are going to be the ones that you start off as default.